Yo, what's up, space lovers? Today, we're diving into one of the most epic space programs in history, NASA's Apollo program. This was the moment when humans actually walked on the moon. Sounds crazy, right? Well, buckle up, because this story is full of insane challenges, massive wins, and near disasters. Let's go. The space race. USA versus USSR. Alright, picture this. It's the 1960s. The Cold War is heating up, and the US and Soviet Union are battling it out to prove who's the real space boss. The Soviets took the early lead. They launched Sputnik, 1957, the first satellite, and sent Yuri Gagarin, 1961, to space, making him the first human in orbit. America? Embarrassed. Then, President John F. Kennedy steps in and drops the biggest space flex of all time. We choose to go to the moon, not because it is easy, but because it is hard, and just like that, NASA's Apollo program was born. The mission? Land a human on the moon and bring them back alive. No pressure, right? The Apollo missions, triumph and tragedy. Apollo wasn't just one mission, it was a whole series of space flights, each one crazier than the last. Let's break down the highlights. Apollo 1, 1967, a tragic start. Before they could even launch, a fire during the test took the lives of 3 astronauts. It was a wake-up call, and NASA had to rebuild the spacecraft to make it safer. Apollo 7, 1968, first big success. NASA's first crewed Apollo mission. They tested everything in Earth's orbit to make sure it all worked before heading to the moon. Apollo 8, 1968, the first humans to see the dark side of the moon. This was wild. Astronauts orbited the moon for the first time ever. And that famous Earthrise photo? That was them. Apollo 11, 1969, the big one. The moment the world was waiting for. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first humans to walk on the moon while Michael Collins orbited above. Armstrong stepped onto the surface and said, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Apollo 13, 1970, Houston, we have a problem. This was almost a disaster. An oxygen tank exploded mid-mission, and NASA had to pull off a miracle rescue to bring the astronauts home. If you haven't seen Apollo 13, the movie, watch it. Apollo 17, 1972, the last moon walk. For now, this was the final Apollo moon mission. We haven't been back since. Why? Why the Apollo program was a game changer. Humans didn't just go to space, they walked on another world. It gave us tech we still use today, GPS, fireproof materials, and even modern computers. It inspired an entire generation to think bigger and reach for the stars. NASA is bringing the moon missions back with the Artemis program. The plan? Send humans, including the first woman, back to the moon and use it as a stepping stone for Mars. So, what do you think? Should we go back to the moon? Or should we aim straight for Mars? Drop a comment below. And if you love space content, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. I'll see you in the next one.